two. Okay, there we go. Test two. All right, testing. 1, 1, 2. Can y'all hear me? Y'all can hear me good out there? OCO, everyone. Jermaine, OCO. Power to the guys, OCO. Philip, let's go. Linda, OCO. Are we good? Y'all can hear me, right? Loud and clear? Perfect. J.A. Lady, I appreciate you. Thank you for becoming a member. Chill 220 Hill, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. I'm gonna be rolling out more emojis here shortly too. You guys will be seeing that. The channel members will be seeing that here shortly. Nighthawk, what's going on? Spread Wealth, how are you? OCO, Brian. OCO. Miss Melanin in the house, OCO. Okay. I appreciate that. Copper Beard King, what's going on? What's going on, brother? I see the feathers, y'all. I'm just making sure YouTube send these notifications. Look, if you just coming in at this part of the live stream, and the live stream is over with, just skip past this part and go straight into the goodies. I should have it timestamped below, hopefully, if I remember. Or somebody would in the comments. Okay, I see Richmond, VA in the house. 803 South Carolina in the house. What's going on? St. Louis in the building. .757 VA, what's going on? Brandon, what's going on, brother? Mikey repping at 407. 910, North Carolina. 804, Indy. Woodstock, GA. Dallas, Texas. 303, Detroit. 562, Cali. What's going on, Cali? What's going on, Detroit? What's up, Philly? Pittsburgh, VA. 303, 702, Ohio. I see you. Ooh, that thing just... Hold up. Waco, Texas. Oklahoma. 807, that's Arkansas. I mean 870, my bad. 901, Memphis. 214, Dallas, Texas. 513, Cincinnati. 518, New York. What up, Cleveland? What up, Kentucky? Nashville, Compton, Kansas City. Niji Warrior, what's going on? OCO, Mr. West, 216. Mac Low, what's going on, brother? Welcome back, brother. San Diego, Delaware, man, that thing moving. Baltimore, South Carolina, Jersey, 405. Charleston, South Carolina, 305, 813. My moderators, could y'all do me a favor and click approve on those that are posting the feathers for me, please. You know how YouTube kind of, they tripping on the feathers. TC Tire Letters, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. See, even my own, yeah, see what I mean? Even my own feathers, like, come on, YouTube. Oh, man. 807, Chicago. Philly, Tampa, Florida. Cashville. Kentucky, Ohio Valley. Larry Walker, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. GA 912, GA. They go Houston, Texas again. What up, Houston? 757, I appreciate the love. Thank you. 904, Florida, what's going on? Bridget Lester, Wigfall, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. Stone C, Dallas, Texas, thank you, brother. Welcome to the family. Duval. Tanera Cook, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. That ain't lightning, is it? Michael Jackson, thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Cherokee Joe in the building. I see you. October, representing Augusta, Georgia. What's going on? Stephen D. Shields, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate you. We got a lot to do. Got a lot to break down in this one. Shout out to my bro M16, hold me down. Tuscaloosa. What up, Alabama? Mike Reinhardt, I appreciate that. 972 Dallas, Texas. What up, Dallas? What's going on, Dallas? Niji Warrior, been a member for 8 months. I appreciate you. ATL, I see you. Apache, Geechee, and Blackfoot, what's going on? Chicago in the building. I know I gotta get ready to switch screens here in a minute. Come on, YouTube, why y'all not showing the feathers? I'm having to go back and click it myself. What's that? Oh yeah, we got him up out of there. Snipers! We got him up out of there. Anytime you hear that sound, somebody getting kicked out the chat. I'm pretty sure people just subscribe just so they can say something silly in the chat so they can get kicked. It ain't gonna last too long. You better hurry up and say what you want to say. St. Louis in the building. Austin, Texas. Mount Dora, Florida. Cadillac Walton. What's going on, brother? I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. All right, let me get ready to switch screens. I appreciate you all for joining tonight. If you're seeing this on the back end, hope you enjoy it. The sniper soundbite gives me snipers! I appreciate you, Copper Bearded King. John Jackson, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, here we go.
OCO, freethinkers. You're now tuned into the realest historian on the planet.
This brother, he is raising some serious questions.
He's here to make you think.
What I'm trying to do is get our people to understand that we have been lied to all the way around about our history. Can you name any other group of people, no matter their skin complexion, that are being labeled primarily as the name of two continents? Not two countries, two continents. That is called a misnomer, which is the act of applying a wrong name to some person or thing.
The best teacher you wished you had in school. Have your pens and paper handy and get ready to take notes.
I want y'all to check out somebody named Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway? Look into Dane Calloway. He has a lot of information about how this whole shit was told in reverse. Okay, where they say, oh, we came from Africa over here. No, a lot of us was already here.
And information that was put together by a man by the name of Dane Calloway, who is also questioning the slave trade. And he's done some remarkable videos on the history of the slave trade in the United States. And he's gone back down the food chain and gone back down the line, and he's realized that a lot of the so-called African Americans in the United States are not African at all. They're actually Native Americans, because the slave trade did not happen the way we were told that it happened.
It's Dane Calloway.
Dane Calloway. Go and watch this man's channel, man. This dude is phenomenal, and he don't get the accolade and his flowers right now. You know what I'm saying? Because this dude gives some powerful information, some common sense. Go dig deep and research. Maybe even have to spend a couple dollars on research if you truth seeking. Not fact checking, truth seeking. Because there's a difference.
It's Dane Calloway on I'm Just Here to Make You Think Radio.
Turn it up. Look, 100 years after 100 years, they done lied to us about this and that. Told us all we from Africa. I made fiction characters turn into facts. Heard your time and then it was not. Knowing goddamn well that trick was capped. My wife and I wrote a book about it. It's a book with knowledge, evidence, and fact. And my other book got them haters shook, cause it's helping my people take a closer look at their backgrounds in the background, showing my people where they supposed to look. Showing my people where they get it from, where they hit it from, all sorts of angles. When it comes to this research, you must please first. Don't trust strangers. Find out all of your own. That's what I highly recommend and suggest. And if you're looking for answers and content about me, I highly recommend you the best. Which is my website at the link you see just across the screen. Don't let it miss you. I make it simple. I double down on that black and white. It's too official. Forgot my mic was muted. All right. We got a lot to go over. I'm going to pick up where I left off on the last live stream, where I was referring to the democracy and the republic. We went over that. At the same time, I went over how they constructed the U.S. flag and inserted it into the children's minds in school, okay, which was a sigil. The little magic spell trying to allow our people to disassociate themselves with our original flag that already existed, okay, and to adopt theirs, okay. They were inserting themselves into this foreign territory to them. It will be foreign territory to them. So I said to myself, well, what will be a good follow-up video to, follow up on that particular information, and who did that? Because I can easily pinpoint the government like most of you can, but who exactly? So as you can see on my other screen, I got one fired up and I have another one sitting on my desktop. So we got some information to go over. Yeah, man. That last live stream, I said to myself, man, that deserves a part 2, a part 3, a part 4. I'm gonna keep breaking it down. And I think by the way, you know, YouTube is acting, I'm probably gonna be doing a lot more live streams here, and you know, maybe people could appreciate that more. We'll see. But yeah, but you guys know what's going on with my channel, so hopefully people get to see this, hopefully get to see it later. We'll see. So to hype myself up, right? I want to do a little surprise before we get in, before we get started. I'm gonna do a little surprise. Not a surprise, but like something that could get me hyped, get me ready, get me prepared. Shout out to my wife. What's up, baby? I love you. Hold on, let me pull it up. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Okay. All right. They asking me what I be rapping for. I tell them I'm not like these rapping folk. I'm here to wake up my people with truth that's illegal, cause that's why they lacking, no. They are not amused that you gotta think, cause a lot of views watered down the sink. What they trying to do is to lie to you, disguise as news, bottled up to drink. See? Listen. Hold up. See, when I do stuff like that, cause people do ask me. They ask me like, hey, Dane, cause you used to make music. Yeah, I used to make music. So why don't you do some stuff where you talking about the truth? I'm like, yeah, but the youngins, you know, they not, I don't know if they on it. You know what I mean? You gotta listen to me. I'm that type of guy. I'm not one of these 20, 19, 18-year-olds. You know, if I'm gonna rap, I'm gonna rap about something. I'm gonna do it one more time. Hopefully they catch it. I don't know. We'll see. Hey, they asking me what I be rapping for. I tell them I'm not like these rapping folk. I'm here to wake up my people with truth that's illegal, cause that's why they lacking, no. They are not amused that you gotta think, cause a lot of views watered down the sink. What they trying to do is to lie to you, disguise as news, bottled up to drink. This ain't about your low feelings. This about stand on your business. This about building our builders and building a structure that benefit billions. Our infrastructure got a bigger budget, longevity, you thick and cover. Birth in our own nations like they children, and we date America, a thicker mother. We be wildin' up a turtle wildin'. Them squatters had to stay in TVs. The revolution out on TVs. Shout out to all of my DGs. Even oh man. All right, last time. I swear, this the last time. Hey, they asking me what I be rapping for. I tell them I'm not like these rapping folk. I'm here to wake up my people with truth that's illegal, cause that's why they lacking, no. They are not amused that you gotta think, cause a lot of views watered down the sink. What they trying to do is to lie to you, disguise as news, bottled up to drink. This ain't about your low feelings. This about stand on your business. This about building our builders and building a structure that benefit billions. Our infrastructure got a bigger budget, longevity, you thick and cover. Birth in our own nations like they children, and we date America, a thicker mother. We be wildin' up a turtle wildin'. Them squatters had to stay in TVs. The revolution out on TVs. Shout out to all of my DGs. Even Putin rushing just to be free. So it's time to finish what we really started. How did we build up America? Same way today, we are still the biggest artists. Don't allow them to tell you no different when all of the evidence right there in front of you. Look, the enemy banking off our people's ignorance. They making fun of you, cook. Word on the street, there's supremacy, we because in reality they shook. Judgment Day, we be throwing more than books. Okay then. Maybe one day. We'll see. I just wanted to play that to get everything hyped, get everything ready, because we about to get right into some information. Even though I want to do it that way too, I would love to do it, but you know, some of the young folks like it, some of them don't. They want to hear that stuff they want to hear in the club, you know? So, shout out my brother, Honorable C-Note. What's going on, brother? Shout out my brother, M16. What's going on, brother? Yeah, I was just having, yeah, that's mainly how I look at it. I'm just having fun with it. I always send a message in it though. Always. All right, so here we go. Now, the first segment that I want to go over is going to be breaking down actually the title. How could we get our lands back? Okay. Osio Amani, thank you for joining. And I went over a lot of information in this particular segment. And I don't want it to go over people's heads. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause at certain points where I think it needs a better explanation. Now, I know these videos, so I know what parts, you know what I mean, that could be better explained, or like if I'm going too fast in the video, I can slow it down and, you know, explain it in full detail. But I pretty much got detailed in this one, especially in part 1, but it was back to back to back to back, and I know it was quick, so I was like, okay, well, it's time. Let me do it bit by bit. If you guys are okay with that, and I'll pause it, explain it. If you guys are okay with that, if you are, let me see some feathers, some fire emojis, some bow and arrows, if that's okay with y'all. I gotta bring my chat back up. Okay, there you go. If that is okay with y'all, fire emojis, feathers, bow and arrows. Okay, perfect. Perfect. See, look, I wish y'all could see my moderators see this. Look at so many comments that we have to go in and manually press show. This is crazy. Like, why are you blocking feathers? I'm honestly looking at that as prejudicey. Like, that's crazy. They don't block nothing else but the feathers. Even my own emoji that has feathers. Like, that's weird. I know y'all see this. My moderators are witnesses. Clearly. This is crazy. All right, so let's go. Now, also, if you pay attention, I'm also explaining how we're going to get it back. Okay? Now, to the 13% out there, pay close attention to detail, because this is something that's also going to be a part of our campaign. And I don't mean we about to go vote for something. Don't take it that way. I'm going to explain it in full detail later on, but it's going to be for our benefit. Okay? So let's get it started. America isn't a nation. The United States is a corporation. And that's according to Title 28 U.S. Code 3002, Section 15A, which says that the United States is a federal corporation, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States, or an instrumentality of the United States. Yeah. Yeah. You see how we going already, right? We starting it off just like that. Y'all ready?
All right, is everybody ready? Yeah! All right, now here we go.
All right. We already know. But now, if you didn't know, now you know. Just screenshot this right here. Screenshot this. This is how you know that they are a corporation, because I'm about to break it down. See, I'm getting hype already because I know where this is about to go. Hey, yeah, we about to turn up. We about to wake everybody up here.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up out of your sleep, sleep.
All right, come on. And based on this US code alone, we can easily determine that the states have united to incorporate themselves in order to do business as the United States, meaning that the states of America are in fact their own individual corporations. Therefore, it is not impossible to create your very own state, simply because it is not impossible to create your own business. And if you think about that for a while, then maybe you'll notice something else that is important to note here, but somehow manages to be overlooked by many. Each corporation that has ever been formulated, whether past or present, has one or more owners, because if they didn't, then the corporation would not exist otherwise. And since all 51 states of America are in fact their own individual corporations, then each of these states individually have owners, or someone in ownership of the title to the land or territory, now commonly referred to as states, countries, or cities throughout Turtle Island. Alright, I'm gonna take, because I know I'm moving fast in this video, so I'm gonna make sure that we all on the same page. The board is blurry. I'll be able to zoom in and stuff like this, like especially if it's a part that of course I want you to see. I'm going to zoom in and stuff like that. It's not, I mean, you already know that this is, the Mercator world map. It's not really, something I want to show you, but it's mainly focusing on what I'm talking about here in the beginning. Yeah, I said 51 states. Somebody caught it. All right. Good, Leo, good. I said 51 states. That's right. Yep. 51. Not 50. Keep that in mind. I'm glad you caught that. All right. Should I back up? Hold on. Should I back up? Because I'm about to go deeper and I want to take it a step at a time. I don't know what it's. My moderators in the chat, y'all saying sniper, I can't see what's going on. Get him up out of there, though. Back up. If 5 or more people say back up, I'll back up, because this is just the beginning. Nope. You'll see, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. All right, back up, all right, okay. All right. We ain't even get out the beginning yet. Okay, hold up. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start from the top. Because I know I said a lot right there. Okay. Is music playing? Yeah, hold up. Okay. And that's according to Title 28 U.S. Code 3002, Section 15A, which says that the United States is a federal corporation, an agency, department, commission, board, or other entity of the United States, or an instrumentality of the United States. And based on this U.S. code alone, we can easily determine that the states have united to incorporate themselves in order to do business as the United States, meaning that the states of America are in fact their own individual corporations. Therefore, it is not impossible to create your very own state, simply because it is not impossible to create your own business. Okay. They came together to incorporate themselves. They're doing business as the United States. So since you're able to create a business, it is not impossible for you to create your own state. Because it's not impossible to create your own business, corporation. It's not impossible for you to incorporate. It's not impossible for you to incorporate. I'm watching the chat. I'm watching the chat.
And if you think about that for a while, then maybe you'll notice something else that is important to note here, but somehow manages to be overlooked by many. Each corporation that has ever been formulated, whether past or present, has one or more owners.
Now, I'm talking about the corporation. Each corporation has one or more owners. This is true. If you know somebody of a corporation, it's usually one or more owners of that corporation.
Because if they didn't, then the corporation would not exist otherwise.
You see what I'm saying? Somebody has to establish that corporation. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist.
And since all 51 states of America are in fact their own individual corporations, then each of these states individually have owners.
You see what I'm saying? Since each state are corporations, then each state has owners.
Or someone in ownership of the title to the land or territory, now commonly referred to as states, countries, or cities throughout Turtle Island.
So somebody either own it or own the title to the, you see where I'm going with this? To the country, state, city. They have owners. Can we move on from here? This is about to get explained even more. Okay. All right, here we go.
I'm sure many of you didn't really look at it that way, so allow me to explain. Now, this is also great for genealogy purposes, concerning records of information to have in your possession of ownership. Millions of the indigenous Niji were landowners and sharecroppers that formerly worked on farms, or they could have been masters in other fields, like business ownership and architecture, landscaping, shipbuilding, carpentry, or even train conducting or bricklaying, just to name a few things. But what's very important to note here is how prosperous the Niji were as capitalists during the 19th century, because this gets overlooked by our very own people due to how they were taught and compulsory educated by indoctrinating curriculums embedded with political collusion under the color of law.
Now, what I'm referring to here is how all of our people, especially back then, 19th century, owned a ton of businesses. According to the Freedmen's, what was the whole name? It's called Freedmen's Bank and Savings Trust. I think I'm saying it correctly. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's called the Freedmen's Bank and Savings Trust. But according to the Freedmen's Bank, it was over 100,000 businesses that our people owned. And I really need you to understand how major that is, especially during that time period. Over 100,000. And I have those records. And in fact, I displayed those same records that I'm referring to in another video. Matter of fact, I'm gonna have to bring that up. Note to self. I'm gonna bring that up and talk about the Freedmen's Bank. Yeah, because they owe us that money in there too. Because that money was supposed to be, according to Abraham Lincoln, let me mention this right now, now it's on my mind. Abraham Lincoln signed what was the bill? Now I can't think of the bill. There was a law, let me just say it this way, that Abraham Lincoln signed that made sure that everything that was inside of these freedmen's banks are owed to not only the account holder, but also to their descendants. And that money has accumulated over time. It's probably over $1 billion right now because nobody has took the time enough to research their family members to see if they opened up a Freedmen's Bank and Trust savings account and see how much, because a lot of the people, not only people that fought in wars were paid, but it was also our ancestors working. You guys got to understand this. They had businesses or worked for businesses that was owned by our own people. I'm talking about, yes, somebody said yes. Aaliyah said trillions. What year was that? I brought this up I tried to campaign this, I believe during 2018, to put everybody's attention on that bank, because that bank is sitting dormant and it's right across. I'm talking about the main headquarters is right across the street from the White House. Okay. Frederick Douglass, and here's another reason why I know that Frederick Douglass was rich, because Frederick Douglass took his own, they said, and I have this writing as well, tens of thousands of his own money, to save the Freedmen bank accounts. You heard what I said? To save the Freedmen banks, let me say it that way, from collapsing. Frederick Douglass did that. This is documented. Not the government, not a president, not a politician. It was Frederick Douglass. No, it wasn't the Freedmen's Bill. I'm gonna pull it up. I'll pull it up. I'm gonna note all of this right now, and I'll make sure I'll bring it up during the next live stream. But you guys got to understand how important it is to do your genealogy, not just for land purposes. If you're looking for reparations right now, it could be sitting in the Freedmen's Bank. And it's unclaimed because our people are not taking the time to do the proper research that they need to do in order to run across that type of information. This is not hard to find, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, in my book on genealogy that I have on Amazon right now, I'll tell you the basic steps of how to achieve just that. Within that basic steps, you should be able to find that. That should pop up. That's not hidden from any one of us. It's just that it's not being promoted. It's not being talked about. It's not being heavily campaigned by anybody for that matter. Nobody's talking about that. The Freedmen banks did not fall right away. 1875. I believe I'm saying that correctly. 1875. It could be like 1873, 1875. Once again, I'm not in front of it. Frederick Douglass saved them. He had to eventually let them go. Okay? But once again, all of those records are still there. All of that money is still there because they can't take it. It's not theirs. 1874. People say 1874 in the chat. Now, once again, guys, I don't have that in front of me, so I can't verify. So I got to take your word on that one. But I'll have it. I'll have that in front of me and boop, and show you. And show you. But I think that is critical information to note. If that doesn't get you going to go do research, genealogy research on your family, I don't know what else would. I'm not trying to say it's free money, but because your ancestors worked for it, but I mean, it's sitting there and your ancestors worked for it. You understand what I'm saying? You need to know for sure, especially those that were involved in these wars and opened up these accounts. But once again, they're not limited to just those people, ex-soldiers. They're not limited to just ex-soldiers. It goes to, like how you see right here in this picture, it goes also for the people that were business owners, landowners, or employees as well. They opened up Freedman bank accounts. Yes. And yes, that is correct. They collected interest year after year after year after year. It's sky high right now. I said billions because I'm just saying billions because it was millions back then. There's no telling how much it is right now. Like I'm not keeping up with that part. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's way too much money. I can tell you that. People need to look into that. That needs to be a big conversation amongst our community. And these records exist. It's not hard to find, ladies and gentlemen, at all. It's not. You really have to do your research on your own individual family. It's going to pop up. Just like you're going to find out what church they attended, what job they worked for, what land they owned, where they resided, all of that. You're going to see if they were fighting in the war, if they opened a bank account, everything. And then you need to make yourself the executive of that estate. Then pull that estate away from the government and create your own. Open up your own estate, in which we are going to get into, just not in this video. I did make a promise to you guys that we're going to talk about that and start breaking that stuff down. It's necessary. It's necessary. You guys got to have your own trusts. That's very important. Matter of fact, I'm gonna drop a bomb. That is so important. And detach it away from this government's ownership. It's very important. All right, let's continue.
And based on records held by the National Archives on how many acres of land was owned by the Niji during this time period, we can easily determine where the solution resides when it comes to fixing many commonly known problems that...
Hold up, y'all. Hold up. I just want you guys to understand how deep this picture. I apologize. We're about to get back to it, but just read it. Just read it. That's 250,000 farms. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I really need you to focus on this. 250,000 farms? Worth 20 million. No, I'm sorry, 20 million acres of land worth 500 million. Excuse me. Man, that's a bro. What? Ooh. Just imagine if we had that much right now, in which we do. We just not stepping up, saying, "Hey, that's mine. Get the hell off my land." Yeah, just imagine. Yes, 500 million back then. Just imagine it now. 250,000 farms. The economy can crash and we will be good. With that much farmland, we will be good for life. That takes care of generations after generations after generations. You think I'm playing? That's how important it is. Ooh, man, 250,000 farms, y'all. And the reason why I don't want to get into the money, because it pisses me off, because the money, how much it's worth then, is way more. Just like I'm going back to the Freedmen's Bank. We already had millions in those accounts, and it gotta be over billions by now. All right, I'm gonna come back a little bit.
Indoctrinating curriculums embedded with political collusion under the color of law. And based on records held by the National Archives on how many acres of land was owned by the Niji during this time period, we can easily determine where the solution resides when it comes to fixing many commonly known problems that we face as a people here in America today. What took place for our people to mysteriously become the tenants when they were originally the landowners? When it comes to the laws of the lands, the use of the word tenant represented various meanings at law. Most of you are familiar with the word tenant referring to a person that rents a place or piece of land. And according to the 1828 Webster's English Language Dictionary, the word tenant is defined as a person holding land or other real estate under another, either by grant, lease, or at will. One who has the occupation or temporary possession of lands or tenements whose title is in another. Like if you were to lease a car or mortgage a house or even buy music online. However, you don't really own these particular properties that you purchased or rather borrowed. But there's also another side of the word tenant that is not commonly known that exposes the answer to the question I asked earlier. A tenant can also be the owner of their property or estate, simply because a tenant can own and occupy a property or estate they own.
That's very important. I want you guys to understand that. Just like right now, for example, say for instance, you purchased your house. I need you to key in on this. Say for example, you purchased your house outright, but you live there. You are now the owner and the tenant. You are now the owner and the tenant. You are in possession of the property you own. Now, right, Amani, sneaky double-sided English language, because I'm a watch. You about to see me break this down and how to use that against us. I'm not, watch.
Or another example is when the original owner of a property or estate is leasing the property out to tenants, but then the owner dies, and the property then becomes possessions of the tenants, occupying the estate under the color of law.
You hear that? Again, I'm gonna say it again. So, say for example that you were a tenant of another person's property. Okay, say for example you were the tenant at, say for example, your aunt's house. Then your aunt dies. The tenant then becomes the owner. Keep in mind, since you were the tenant, you were the temporary. Do I need to go back? You were the temporary owner of the property. But once the original owner dies, okay? Once the original owner dies, the tenant then becomes the owner. That's how, yes, that's deep. That's exactly what, that's one way, actually. That's not all the ways that they did it. That's one way. I just gave an example. Yes, squatters. Somebody said it earlier. Squatters. They squat on the land until somebody say, all right, or they die. And that land is now abandoned. Remember how a lot of the federal lands, before they were called federal lands, they were called abandoned lands? Even though it was a lot of people already living there? You could look this up. And I actually went over squatters and how they did it. I'll bring that up too, note to self. But it's very similar to this, but I did it in a different way, so I'll make sure I bring that up too. But yeah, isn't that, wouldn't you think that's wrong? Like, okay, for example, like say for instance, I'm gonna give that same example. Earlier I said, your aunt, you're a tenant at your aunt's house and your aunt passes away. Since you're in possession of that, listen, y'all, since you're in possession of that property now becomes yours. Unless, here's the tricky part, unless that contract that you signed is null and void. Who determines that a contract is null and void? You're going to see me go into this in this video, but I'm bringing it up now because I'm telling you there's so many different ways that they could do that. So I'm gonna say it again. So for example, the owner dies, you're the tenant, but somehow that contract becomes null and void. Who becomes the owner? Okay, yeah, the bank, that's if they have a mortgage out, or who else? Because if they took a loan, yeah, it's going right back. Okay, there we go, Red. The state. It now becomes federal lands because nobody else is claiming ownership of it. This is the problem that we have with our people right now. It's a lot of land that has gone unclaimed by us. Okay, that our ancestors owned years ago, but the government, might as well say the state government picks it up because you didn't claim it. This is another reason why genealogy is so important, and I said that in the earlier part of this video, because if you find out that your ancestors own land and you don't see their signatures signing it away like they sold it, that is yours. That is yours. But you gotta make sure that you can prove that you are related to that individual that originally owned the property. Otherwise, if it's unclaimed property, it's going back to the state, or like somebody said earlier, to the bank if they if they took out a mortgage. This is how tricky this thing is. I also stated in a different video that if you do take out a mortgage, you're still renting. You're still a tenant. You're still renting. You do not own your house if you have a mortgage out. And look, if you bought your house, you better buy the lot that it's on. I'm gonna say this again. If you buy the house, you better buy the lot that it's on, because if the state is claiming that they own the lot, they still own the house. They still own the house no matter what. I don't care if the house was $250,000 and you paid $250,000 outright and you did not buy that lot that it's sitting on, you can kiss that $250,000 goodbye. I'm not playing. If the state just randomly say, hey, we need to knock this house down that you just bought in order to put up some type of commercial building, they can legally do that under the color of law and give you 60 days to vacate. This is what we have to correct. We have to correct this. The only way we can is if, and this is why I'm not trying to get too hyped, because this is so important that you guys do your research. I'm going to keep reiterating that, because the more people that become cognizant of what happened to our people, we'll be able to wake them up, get our lands back. And it's going to be so many of us at one time. That's going to hit the news. That's going to wake up way more people. And what the government going to do? I'm going to tell you, they're going to sit there and look stupid. Because it's a lot of them that they're not supposed to be here. You're going to see why. I'm going to break it down right here in this video. CC, whose land? Our land. This is our land. You about to see? I'm gonna come back a tad bit. Wait.
They own. Or another example is when the original owner of a property or estate is leasing the property out to tenants, but then the owner dies, and the property then becomes possessions of the tenants, occupying the estate under the color of law. For example, a person can own property by purchasing it in full. However, the state or estate in which the property resides in is the title holder of the land, meaning that the owner of the estate or estate also owns everything within its specified boundaries, not excluding any personal or real property owned by another person or company residing within that same location.
So in other words, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They still own it. Whether if you claimed it as personal or real property. That's how deep this gets.
Now, to get a better understanding of this uncommonly known usage of the word tenant, one must be cognizant of the use of the word estate in this sense. Listen closely. According to the 6th edition of the Black's Law Dictionary of 1891, the word estate is defined as, quote, the degree, quantity, nature, and extent of interest which a person has in real and personal property. An estate in lands, tenements, and hereditaments signifies such interests as the tenant has therein.
I gotta let this sink in for a second. Got to. This part right here is critical because it's talking about the estate, the extent of interest of which a person has in real and personal property. We gotta let this sink in. If you need to take screenshots, that's why I brought it up this way so you can see it. Now keep in mind, this interest is referring to the tenant. Notice how it didn't say owner. Hold on, y'all. Come on, y'all. I'm about to break this down. Keep in mind, this is the estate. This signifies such interest as the tenant has therein. This is an extent of interest which a person has in real and personal property. You should already know why, and I'm going to explain it in this video, but you should know why right now, the way I'm saying it, what the word interest really means. If you don't, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you right here in this video. I'm gonna let that play. I'm not gonna tell you right now at this moment, unless I see somebody in the chat say it. An extent of interest. See, I don't I don't want you to think money in this sense. I want you to think, okay, equity, that's a good word, but that's extortion. I know, right? Interest is credit. Close, Levante. Value, that's very close. Inquiry, investments, ownership, credit, wealth, birthright. Value, that's very close. You're gonna see. Ownership. But it's okay. I like doing this. I love doing this, y'all. This is my favorite part. Trying to see where everybody at. Yeah, IOU is just like credit. An asset, Sydney. Yeah, but hold up. Not labor. That payment, nah, not payment. All right, okay. And I appreciate that. Even if you don't know, I'm definitely gonna break it down. You're gonna see it right here. Likeness. That's actually, somebody said it. Ahmad said it. It's rights. He said it. An extent of rights which a person has. Ooh, listen, y'all.
Is everybody ready?
Listen. Hold on. It's about to get deep. Rights. That's another. Interest is another way of saying rights. Yep. An estate and lands, tenements, and hereditaments signifies such rights as the tenant has therein. Listen, this is why I pause right here, because you about to see how they chop this up. We about to get them back. I'm telling you, y'all. Woo, watch.
End quote. So where it says an estate and lands, tenements, and hereditaments signifies such interests as the tenant has therein, this alone indicates to the public that this particular type of tenant has ownership of an estate and lands, because an owner and a tenant allegedly shares the same right or interest in said property, or
has the same, you heard what I said, has the same right or interest in said property,
estate somehow.
Or estate somehow. They purposely did that. Purposely. Hold on, let me open up my coffee. Okay.
The definition reads on and says, quote, the condition of circumstance in which the owner stands with regard to his property. In this sense, estate is commonly used in conveyances in connection with the words right, title, and interest, and is in a great degree synonymous with all of them.
Woo. Now the word owner pops up. The condition of circumstance in which the owner stands with regard to his property. In this sense, estate is commonly used in conveyances in connection with the words right, title, and interest, and is in a great degree synonymous with all of them. Guys, listen to that. The title, the right, and the interest. That's deep. And that's all with the state, dealing with the owner and the tenant. The owner and the tenant. Okay. It goes on.
End quote. So, in other words, the word interest was another way of saying the word right. So when you read the definition of estate again, you'll see how the tables were turned to allow the tenants to become the landlords in this sense, which also reveals how a tenant does not need to reside in the state or estate they own, exposing why the letter A was dropped from the USA. Because
I'm going in. Hold on. All right, hold on. All right, I'm gonna back up. My bad, y'all. My bad. Man, all right.
State again, you'll see how the tables were turned to allow the tenants to become the landlords in this sense, which also reveals how a tenant does not need to reside in the state or estate they own, exposing why the letter A was dropped from the USA. Because those who own the titles or rights or interests of the states don't live here to begin with.
See there? Hold on.
And
hold on. And that's and we know that for sure. Like, it is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We know for sure that these alleged owners do not live here. This is the reason why they dropped America out of USA, because they incorporated themselves doing business as the United States. Just like the Department of Motor Vehicles is doing business as the DMV. Just like any corporation can choose how many other, DBAs they want. It's a DBA. It's a DBA. Like, come on. We know this now. So if they can do it, hold on. No, let me not jump the gun. Hold up. Let's keep going.
As simple as creating a business is, one can also create their own counties, dividing up larger states by jurisdictional law and order.
Hold on. One more time.
And as simple as creating a business is, one can also create their own counties, dividing up larger states by jurisdictional law and order.
Isn't that what they did? Isn't that what they did? Wait a minute now. What law? Somebody tell me a law where it says that we can't do the same. If they can do it, we can do it. Notice, there's always loopholes in these laws. Oh, I'm gonna rewind it. It's always loopholes in these laws. People just don't know that we can do the exact same thing and be 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 times better at their own game. Now, keep in mind, since we have millions of acres of land that went unclaimed, just imagine if we claim those acres and divide it up to our liking. We could name it whatever, incorporate it how we choose. And all of our people live on the land that we own. You see how I'm getting to the bigger picture? I always do. Some people be, dang, you don't never talk about solutions. I don't talk about solutions. Once we gather up these acres of land again and take back what's ours, it's gonna be a huge impact. they not gonna be able to know what to do. Y'all gotta wake up.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up out of your sleep, 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 sleep.
Simple as creating a business is, one can also create their own counties, dividing up larger states by jurisdictional law and order, using surnames or rather nicknames to distinguish between which corporations or businesses have rights or what they call interests in the said territories abroad. Mind you that all of this was occurring prior to the circulation of federal notes in the 1900s. In the 6th edition of the Black's Law Dictionary, the word county is defined as the largest territorial division for local government in state. Its powers and importance vary from state to state, and as well within the given state. In certain New England states, it exists mainly for judicial administration. In Louisiana, the equivalent unit is called a parish. Counties are held in some jurisdictions to be municipal corporations and are sometimes said to be involuntary municipal corporations.
Hold on. That's important. All right, let me start from the top. Does anybody know what a parish is? Oh, I'm going to get into it in this video. I just remember how to, okay. So if they held some in some jurisdiction to be municipal corporations and sometimes involuntary municipal corporations, what do you know that is very similar to that? I'm talking about very similar. That's right, the church. The church. A church. A church.
All right, is everybody ready? All right, now here we go.
A church. But what church? Wait a minute, y'all. It gets deeper. It gets deeper. So that means some church is in control of this land. I see y'all. I see y'all. Woo! Sade Jackson, thank you for becoming a member. Man, listen. We about to get deep. Yeah, that's how deep we about to get. That's why I said it's a whole nother video besides this one too, because we're gonna have to talk about that. You gotta learn. I hope you guys are screenshotting too. Definitely take screenshots of everything. So now that we know, watch exactly what I say after this. I'm gonna back up just a tad bit.
In certain New England states, it exists mainly for judicial administration. In Louisiana, the equivalent unit is called a parish. Counties are held in some jurisdictions to be municipal corporations and are sometimes said to be involuntary municipal corporations. Other cases, seeking to distinguish between the two, hold that counties are agencies or political subdivisions of the state for governmental purposes, and not, like municipal corporations, incorporations of the inhabitants of specified regions for purposes of local government. Counties are also said to be merely quasi-corporations.
This how deep it get. Keep in mind that they are like, it says like municipal corporations, incorporations of the inhabitants of specified regions for purposes of local government, Back up a little bit. In other cases, seeking to distinguish between the two hold that counties are agencies or political subdivisions. You have to note that these churches are working hand in hand with the government. I'm not talking about your belief. Don't take this the wrong way. You might have a great pastor. We about to get into the pastor too. But hold up. I need you to understand. Keep in mind, we talking about the definition of county. And this is all leading back to the church. And it's going to be broken down some more. You see how far we got to go. I'm not playing with y'all. Sub or political subdivisions of the state for governmental purposes, and not like municipal corporations, incorporations of the inhabitants of specified regions for purposes of local government. Counties are also said to be merely quasi corporations. Quasi. I think I said it. I got to. I know me. I know I told you what quasi is after this. I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to just let it play. Hold up.
End quote. So now the word quasi means, quote, as if or almost as it were.
Right after that.
Anytime you have to rely upon your enemy, you're in bad shape.
As if. Almost as it were. I'm gonna let this sink in. We gotta do this, y'all. We got to. They're acting as if. Come on, y'all. They're not even real. People's minds, and they doing it in the name of God at the same time. That's how deep this get. Watch.
So quasi corporations are, simply put, wannabes, or entities that appear to be something that they are not. So if any county of any state is a quasi corporation, then what does that make the state?
I want y'all to answer this before I tell you. If any county of any state is a quasi corporation, then what does that make the state? I say the answer right after this, but I just gotta make sure we're on the same page right here. De facto. That makes them quasi, right? It makes them the exact same thing. You can't run, you can't hide. Quasi is quasi.
The exact same thing. Because again, a
Fictional.
state or estate is merely nothing more than property of a said corporation. But who gave that corporation the right or interest in that said property in the first place? How can foreign corporations unanimously become owners of this sovereign land that wasn't for sale to begin with? Now, what I'm about to state next is very essential when considering information that's available now to answer these questions I just proposed to you. Each corporation has their own president, vice president, treasurer, board of trustees, and other executive positions of authoritarian entitlement. And this also reflects the operational bodies of each state government in America. The estate or state is divided into sectional counties that are controlled or rather managed by a county, which is in Old English law, quote, the most eminent dignity of a subject before the conquest.
I'm going in. They're managed by a county. The most eminent dignity of a subject before the conquest. Who is this? Who is this? Who is the county? Who is the county? You know I gotta laugh it off because it's negativity, and you know I'm gonna repeat this. Negativity welcomes negativity. So I brush it off with laughter, which is the most highest form of positive energy. This ain't funny though. This is right now. Who is it? Not the sheriff. That's close. That's close. Not Congress, because keep in mind, Congress is a group. Rome got it. The governor. The governor. The governor. Watch this.
So this county subject, or person rather, is very important to note here, because in feudal law, a conquest is, quote, an acquisition by purchase, any method of acquiring the ownership of an estate other than by descent. Also, an estate acquired otherwise than by inheritance. So the county oversaw the acquisition of land to be handed over from somebody who was obviously the original owner or occupant of that land to the state or estate or quasi-corporation. But how is this so? Reading further into the definition of conquest, it reveals that it is an international law that is the, quote, acquisition of the sovereignty of a country by force of arms, exercised by an independent power which reduces the vanquished to the submission of its empire, to conquer a territory or nation by means of force.
Look, y'all. This is international law. Doctrine of discovery. Come on, y'all. This is what they were told to do, to go on their conquest. Their conquest to go out there to a foreign territory. Promote the gospel. That is your conquest. To take over all territory by any means. Or by means of force. Look. And you know what they do? They turn this around and say that this was all done in the name of God, y'all. That's how deep this is. I'm telling you. I'm going to go deeper. I'm telling you right now. Their conquest. Really? They couldn't, their force was to promote the religion because they were dying coming over here. You had to attack the mindset. You had to attack the mindset. Make sure that game that you're going to play is going to play in your favor by manipulating the mind into thinking that this was something that God wanted to happen. This was their conquest. Conquest. Okay?
This means that a county is nothing more than a state governor in charge of overseeing the fraudulent acquisition of this land by the force of foreign use. And here's what I mean by that. The legal definition of the word use is, quote, a confidence reposed in another who was made tenant of the land or terra tenant, that he would dispose of the land according to the intention of the cess-to-K use, or him to whose use it was granted, and suffer him to take the profits. Side note, cess-to-K is an old French word for a beneficiary of trust or a beneficiary of use.
I said that in the last live stream. They made sure that they became the beneficiaries, right? I said that last live stream. See how this is adding up? All of my videos correlate with each other. I just go into deeper territory with different sections of what I'm talking about, but they all line right up. Yes, church and state. This is church and state, ladies and gentlemen. Yep. If you didn't know, now you know. cess-to-K use. They became the beneficiary. Notice I'm showing a dead man walking with a suitcase.
It continues on by saying that enjoyment of property, which consists in its employment, occupation, exercise, or practice, a right in one person, called the cess-to-K use, to take the profits of land of which another has the legal title and possession, together with the duty of defending the same, and of making estates thereof, according to the direction of the cess-to-K use.
All right. Screenshot this. Screenshot it. You got to know it. If you don't have this 1891 version, here it is. Okay? If you don't have it. I also have the first edition. I'll go over that in another video. But it's right in front of you. I write in one person called the beneficiary to take the profits of land of which another has the legal title and possession, together with the duty of defending the same. That's the tenant. And of making estates thereof according to the direction of the beneficiary. They now got control. That's how deep it get.
And the legal definition of use continues on and says, uses and trusts are not so much different things as different aspects of the same subject. A use regards principally the beneficial interests. A trust regards principally the nominal ownership. The usage of the two terms is, however, widely different. The word use is employed to denote either an estate vested since the statute of uses and by force of that statute, or to denote such an estate created before the statute as, had it been created since, would have become a legal estate by force of the statute. The word trust is employed since that statute to denote the relation between the party invested with the legal estate, whether by force of that statute or independently of it, and the party beneficially entitled, who has hitherto been said to have the equitable estate. End quote. So, in other words, the complexity of the confiscation of our lands was not due to just wars alone, and people suffering from being relocated to other parts of the land and even other continents of the world. Now you see that it gets a lot deeper than that. Earlier, I mentioned in the legal definition of the word county that, quote, in Louisiana, the equivalent unit is called a parish. A parish in the Christian church is a small administrative district, typically having its own church and a priest or pastor. So if a parish is equivalent to a county, then obviously it is a corporation doing business as a church. But then that also means that a pastor of a church would be its governor. And we know this to be true because of who the government hired or selected to replace the chiefs of all of the indigenous tribes.
There it is. To replace the chiefs of all the indigenous tribes, they gave you the Supreme Court, the Supreme Chief Justice. Gave it to you. Replaced it. Y'all, come on, y'all. Come on, man. We gotta get them. We gotta stop them. Hold on, hold on. Let me finish this. Is this about to end?
The government hired or selected to replace the chiefs of all of the indigenous tribes of Turtle Island in order to quell the wars without any physical battle, but by way of mental submission, exposing that the government has and can pose as any institution they create, as long as they are in possession of the lands without your knowledge of their temporary visit. Mind you, that the U.S. Constitution is commonly referred to as the rights of the people. But what's not so commonly known or publicized is that the U.S. Constitution was utilized for the benefit of each state or a state of a quasi-corporation in order to conduct intercourse with the people of the land they have forcefully acquired by way of paper genocide, without revealing their true identities nor locations of origin to the public.
Who was that right there? Now you know where we about to go with it, right? Let me just make this crystal clear. All right, let's move on to the next one. Give me a second, I gotta pull it up. Yeah, man, they did this purposely. This is, once again, it's going back to the doctrine of discovery. Now, the second version, now, okay. I just told you how we could get it back. At the same time, I told you how they did it. I just told you how we could get our lands back. Multiple different ways. Okay? Because if they created their own quasi-corporations, acting as if there are a government, acting as if they are a corporation, bye-bye. You're not real. You don't belong here. It's that simple. Yes, it's that simple. And part 2, I even tell you the law that backs us up, stating that we can do this legally, internationally, and domestic. I'm gonna say it again. In part 2, I'm gonna tell you the law where it says that we can do this legally, internationally, and domestic.
To watch all of my exclusive content.
Hold on, let me. Wait, that's how I started it? Okay, yeah, that's how I started it. Okay. All right, here we go.
Yo, everyone. Now, This segment is part 2 of my series on how to create your own country, in which I will pick things up where I left off in part 1, where I shared detailed information concerning methods utilized by foreigners to inject their own form of government upon the sovereign lands of Turtle Island, now referred to as America. And these methods, by way of acts, treaties, and statutes, became the laws of the land that Americans inadvertently abide by still today, making it possible for foreign corporations to create their own countries, cities, and states in order to lawfully conduct intercourse with the original inhabitants of this land, who are the Niji, which also means that it is not impossible for you to create your own country, simply because it is not impossible to create your own business.
Okay. All right. So I just went over it briefly. Everybody take a second. If you like the knowledge that I'm presenting, if you like everything that's going on here, and if you would like me to continue to do this more often, drop a comment below, leave your likes. I would appreciate that. Okay, and I appreciate everybody that I did miss that ended up becoming a member of the channel, that supported the channel with a donation. I apologize because I no longer have that up right here. Okay, it disappears after a certain period. And when I'm going over stuff, I try to get it in as much as I can. Okay, guys. But just know, even if I missed you, I appreciate you. You are appreciated. All right. But yes, please, I do see that we have about 4,000 watching. If you can, drop a like, drop a comment, share this with your family members and friends. I'm going to continuously do the breakdowns because I feel as though this is much needed, especially at this time. So when I do get deeper, I will have a better explanation to follow. So this is my promise to you guys. I'm going to continuously do this. Where's my chat? Okay, there it is. I was about to say, no way. All right, my chat is up now. Thank you, y'all. I appreciate that. My moderator sniping the people out there. Snipers! Get them up out of there. They over there hating. Let them hate on the side. We're gonna continue to go right here, okay? Let's go.
And that still may seem like an impossible task to you due to what you are told about this government and how it operates. But to borrow a quote from poet Edgar Allan Poe, believe nothing you hear and only one half that you see. During part 1 of this series, I exposed that countries and churches are one and the same. And the reason why I pointed that out was to also inform you that the American government was founded by the likes of various denominations of Christianity, and the majority of its laws or policies stems directly from traditional practices generally observed from this form of religion. And we know this to be true because of how popular religion is in the political realm. Even during the time period of George Washington's farewell address, for example, which was alleged to have been given in 1796, where he discusses how successful the government has become due to the implementation of religion. Saying, quote, "Of all the dispositions and habits which led to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supporters." Which should make you ask some questions, like, does religion actually exist in government policy?
Of course.
And if it does, then which religious organization or corporation is mysteriously chosen to dictate the outcome of these policies?
All right, so I'm gonna get into this, but let's take some guesses out there. I want to know which religion, and I did say many denominations of Christianity. You heard me say that already. So we know for a fact that it's a denomination of Christianity, but which one? Let's take some guesses out there. I just want to see. I want to see where the people's minds at right now. Where we at? Y'all got me smiling all the time. I look at the chat, they blowing it up. Oh, man. All right. Now, keep in mind, it's a tight-knit circle. It's many denominations of the Catholic Christianity Society. Notice I put them first because that's where I started. The Catholic Christianity Society. It's many denominations of that, but I need you to know something. Everybody except for like 3 people got it wrong. Okay, 4 people. 4 people got it right so far. Don't forget, but before it was called Christianity, it was called the Catholic Christianity Society. Five people got it right. 6 people got it right. All right. 7 people got it right. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Okay. 8 people got it right. All right. Now I'm good. I'm good. Now I know for sure that you about to learn something here. There's a video I think I'm getting ready to play. Let me make sure. Hold on. I don't know how soon it is. Let me not say that real quick. Hold on. Let me see.
And how does that work when not every religion is represented in the government today? And
ooh, that's a good question. And how does that work when not every religion is represented in the government today? Because you know, certain religious beliefs will play favoritism over certain beliefs. So how do you know if they're playing favoritism over certain laws that they create, or certain guidelines that they follow by, or certain traditions that they practice? Who's running the government? 9 people got it right. 10 people got it right. I'm still watching the chat. The people said, this is TD Jakes right here, y'all.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up out of your sleep, sleep.
Believe it or not. I ain't gonna get into them. We'll say that for a later date. But a lot of those type of pastors, a lot of them are working directly with the government. Working directly for the government. Not only with the government, for the government. They're being paid by the government. I know that's a hard pill to swallow for some people, but you're going to see, and it's not even just going to be coming from me. I got multiple videos in this video where you're going to hear it come from some people that you may call prominent. Here we go.
To answer that point, does a policymaker have the right to show favoritism towards their specified believers while policy making?
See, that's another one. You got to think about that, because these policies that we have right now, out there right now, are they showing favoritism towards a particular set group of religious people? I'm going to just say it that way. Are they? Do we see any difference, or have we really paid attention to it?
See there? Could that be the reason why Thomas Jefferson advocated for the separation of church and state?
Thomas Jefferson advocated for the separation of church and state. Actually, a few other people did too. I'm going to get into it. I wonder why.
I'm not suggesting that every progressive suddenly latch on to...
Hold on. Okay. Before we go any further, yes, this is Barry. Notice I put Barry in parentheses, okay? Hold on. Matter of fact, drop a bomb for that. But I want you to really focus on what he says, because you know, I know his writer, by the way. I pulled up this transcript. I'm not going to say too much, but I know who his writer is. He had a writer. And actually this particular writer, I'll say this particular writer has written a lot of keynote addresses and speeches and for a lot of different presidents, to a point where they will even state things verbatim. But in this particular one, okay, I want you to listen to what Barry is saying. All right, listen to this immigrant. Excuse me, correction. Listen to this foreigner that became your president. Think I'm playing? Listen to that. Look, listen to this particular foreigner right now that ended up becoming your president, that's still your president right now. That came out and said that he gonna be, you know, doing his third term as long as they give him a microphone and he be able to talk to somebody in the earpiece. Huh? Huh? I got that video. He said it himself. There ain't no conspiracy theory, nothing. He said it himself. Now, you saw my video already showing you that they green screening Brandon in certain areas. And Barry over there talking to his ear while Brandon over there struggling to say it correctly. And maybe he malfunctioning while he trying to give people handshakes at the same. What you gonna do? Blame it on old age or something? What he doing as the president then? They work real good together as a team. I mean, we know that, right? But somebody dead already. Or somebody alive and well. And they played this trick on you before. Remember when Barry sat down with, I wonder if you guys remember this, when Barry sat down with Oprah Winfrey and they made it seem like he was in a different room. And then they revealed that they were actually in a totally different area by green screen. They were practicing. I got that video too. They were practicing already, trying to show you what they were about to do before Biden got up in there. Brandon got up in there. And you still think your vote counts? Or did they already have this pre-planned, pre-calculated, predetermined years ago? You tell me. I put out 2 videos on deep fakes. 2. Forewarning you before it even happened that this is what you need to pay attention to, because that's what they're going to use. And sure enough, that's what they're using right now. Right now. And you know who said it also? This guy right here.
Get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired.
All right. So back to what I was saying, right? Rest in peace, Brandon. Psych. All right. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So Barry, he's about to give some vital information that I want everybody to listen to. Okay? Now, this was back in 2006. So you know he didn't have a lot of eyes on him at that time. But I really want you to note what he's saying, because I didn't want to chop this speech up. I let it play because everything he's saying is important. If it's super important, I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna just play it right now. It's starting right now.
Religious terminology that can be dangerous. You know, nothing's more transparent than inauthentic expressions of faith. As Jim mentioned, you know, the politicians who come and they're clapping kind of off rhythm to the choir. We don't need that. In fact, because I do not believe that religious people have a monopoly on morality, I would rather have someone who is grounded in morality and ethics and who is also secular affirm their morality and their ethics and their values without pretending that there's something they're not. They don't need to do that. None of us need to do that.
By the way, he's exposing the church.
What I'm suggesting is this. Secularists are wrong when they ask believers to leave their religion at the door before entering into the public square. Frederick Douglass, Abraham Lincoln, Williams Jennings Bryan, Dorothy Day, Martin Luther King, the majority of the great reformers in American history were not only motivated by faith, but they repeatedly used religious language to argue for their cause. So to say that men and women should not inject their, quote, personal morality into public policy debates is a practical absurdity. Our law is by definition a codification of our morality, much of it which is grounded in the Judeo-Christian tradition.
All silence. Then the bomb drops. Much of it is grounded in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Listen to how he sneak it in, y'all. That's talking about governmental policies, y'all. And that's not it. It gets deeper.
Moreover, if we progressives shed some of these biases, we might recognize some overlapping values that both religious and secular people share when it comes to the moral and material direction of our country. We might recognize that the call to sacrifice...
Hold on. Don't block any religious people in the chat, y'all. Please don't. Like, I'm a very unbiased person. Like, if they're... it's not about their beliefs. I'm just trying to tell them what happened historically. Okay? If they want to, you know what I mean? Let them do it. But I'm just telling them what happened historically. But don't block them. Don't block them.
On behalf of the next generation, the need to think in terms of thou and not just I resonates in religious congregations all across the country. We might realize that we have the ability to reach out to the evangelical community and engage millions of religious Americans in the larger project of American renewal. And some of this is already beginning to happen. You know, pastors, friends of mine like Rick Warren and T.D. Jakes are wielding their enormous influence to confront AIDS, third world debt relief, and the genocide in Darfur. You've got religious thinkers and activists like our good friend Jim Wallace and Tony Campolo, who are lifting up the biblical injunction to help the poor as a means of mobilizing Christians against budget cuts to social programs and growing inequality. And by the way, we need Christians on Capitol Hill, and we need Jews on Capitol Hill and Muslims on Capitol Hill. When you've got an estate tax that is talking about $1 trillion being taken out of social programs to go to a handful of folks who don't need it and weren't even asking for it, we need an injection of morality into our political debate. Across the country.
Watch what he say, though.
Across the country, individual churches like my own and your own are sponsoring daycare programs and building senior centers and helping ex-offenders reclaim their lives and rebuilding the Gulf Coast in the aftermath of Katrina. So the question is, how do we build on these still tentative partnerships between religious and secular people of goodwill? It's going to take more work, a lot more work than we've done so far. The tensions and the suspicions on each side of the religious divide will have to be squarely addressed, and each side will need to accept some ground rules for collaboration. While I've already laid out some of the work that progressive leaders need to do on this, I want to talk a little bit about what conservative leaders also need to do. Some truths they need to acknowledge. For one thing, they need to understand the critical role of the separation of church and state in not just preserving our democracy, but the robustness of our religious practice.
And not just preserving our democracy. You know he has an agenda. But he's for separating the church and state, though. Well, who's ahead of that democracy? Remember, it goes back to what we were talked about during my last live stream. I'm going to break this down further in the video. Oh, who is in control of that democracy? This is going to come back up.
You know, that, I mean, folks tend to forget, during our founding, it wasn't the atheists and the civil libertarians who were the most effective champions of the First Amendment. It was the persecuted minorities. It was Baptists like John Leland who didn't want the Congregationalists and the established churches from imposing their views on folks who were getting happy out in the fields and teaching Scripture to slaves. It was the forebears of the evangelicals who were the most adamant about not mingling government with religion because they did not want state-sponsored religion hindering their ability to practice their faith as they understood it.
All right, so now you know which one is taken out. But hold on, back up a little bit because he says something very key. Right here.
I mean, folks tend to forget, during our founding, it wasn't the atheists and the civil libertarians who were the most effective champions of the First Amendment. It was the persecuted minorities. It was Baptists like John Leland who didn't want the Congregationalists and the established churches from imposing their views on folks who were getting happy out in the fields and teaching Scripture to slaves.
So who were the established churches? If a Baptist guy, preacher, didn't want that to happen, then who were the established churches? Notice how he's leaving out key information.
It was the forebears of the evangelicals who were the most adamant about not mingling.
See, listen.
Government with religion because they did not want state-sponsored religion hindering their ability to practice their faith as they understood it.
Okay. So now you know there was a form of a state-sponsored religion. State-sponsored religion. And the evangelists, they didn't want that hindering their ability to practice their own faith as they understood it. So wait, so who, once again, this is leaving a lot of questions. Who is in control of the state-sponsored religion? Who are these established churches? But yet he wants separation of church and state. Wait a minute. So are you saying that you want separation of a particular church or all of them?
The increasing diversity of America's populations, the dangers of sectarianism are greater than ever. Whatever we once were, we are no longer a Christian nation. At least not just. We are also a Jewish nation, a Muslim nation, and a Buddhist nation, and a Hindu nation, and a nation of non-believers. And even if we did have only Christians in our midst, if we expelled every non-Christian from the United States of America, whose Christianity would we teach in the schools? Would it be James Dobson's or Al Sharpton's? Which passages of Scripture should guide our public policy?
Admitting that certain scriptures guide the public policy, but listen to his tongue. Watch what he say right here, y'all. Hey, don't get offended, because I know what he's about to say. My religious people out there, do not get offended. Keep in mind, I'm just going over some historical points, and I'm letting him and others, you're going to see, let them spell it.
Should we go with Leviticus, which suggests slavery is okay, and that eating shellfish is an abomination? Or we could go with Deuteronomy, which suggests stoning your child if he strays from the faith? Or should we just stick to the Sermon on the Mount, a passage that is so radical that it's doubtful that our own Defense Department would survive its application?
Wow.
So before we get carried away, let's read our Bibles now. Folks haven't been reading their Bible.
All right, hold on. Before we go any further, I want you to understand that he picked out certain scriptures of the Bible saying there shouldn't be guiding the governmental policy. And he said, whose Christianity is going to lead us? When those particular scriptures that he picked, he claiming is an abomination. That's not me saying that, he said that. I'm just letting y'all know. But he told you somebody is in control. He just didn't tell you who exactly. He did a little bit, but not all. State-sponsored religion? Who was that?
Folks haven't been reading the Bible.
This means that a form of religion does in fact influence government policy still today, to the point where there is no actual separation between the church and the state, simply because imposing policies in a state is the exact same as imposing religious beliefs in a church. According to the Britannica Encyclopedia on the subject of church and state, it says that, quote, in the 17th century, there were few who believed that diversity of religious belief in a church unconnected with the civil power were possible in a unified state. Common religious standards were looked upon as a principal support of the political order. The Puritans, for example, who fled religious persecution in England in the 17th century, enforced rigid conformity to church ideas among settlers in the American colonies.
Screenshot it. Screenshot it before we move on. Screenshot it. Gotta screenshot this. It's about to get deep.
Side note, the word Puritanism is, quote, a religious reform movement in the late 16th and 17th centuries that sought to purify the Church of England of the remnants of the Roman Catholic popery that the Puritan claimed had been retained after the religious settlement reached early in the reign of Queen Elizabeth I.
Hold on. Whoa. Screenshot this. You need all of this.
In the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, Puritans became noted in the 17th century for a spirit of moral and religious earnestness that informed their whole way of life, and they sought through church reform to make their lifestyle the pattern for the whole nation. Their efforts to transform the nation contributed both to civil war in England and to the founding of colonies in America as working models of the Puritan way of life.
You guys gotta screenshot this. This is it. This is who's in control right here. Right here. Screenshot this. Now, I cut out, because of YouTube, believe it or not, there was a section that I originally had in here where I went even further and told you names, everything. I'm gonna talk with my wife. I may put that part that I took out right here on my other channel because no, YouTube ain't letting it fly. In fact, this would be the third time of me posting this on my channel. Technically. For that reason. They didn't like what I was talking about. They didn't like me showing you guys this. And they definitely didn't like the part that came after that, where I went deeper into the Puritan way of life. That's why I kept telling you guys to look up the Puritan way of life. Literally, look that up, type that in. You're going to see who, what, when, where, and how. And to the founding of colonies in America as working models of the Puritan way of life. This is what they're following by right now. Nothing changed. Nothing. Okay.
Our Constitution opens with the words as trite as it sounds.
Yep.
We the people. Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government.
Now you know why.
Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government. You and I. Not some force in a distant capital. Not some powerful force that we have no control over. It's us. It's we the people. In another era, when our democracy was tested, Franklin Roosevelt.
Notice how the camera panned to "In God We Trust" right after he said that.
Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government. Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government. You and I. Not some force in a distant capital. Not some powerful force that we have no control over. It's us. It's we the people. In another era, when our democracy was tested, Franklin Roosevelt reminded us, in America, we do our part. We all do our part. That's all I'm asking. That we do our part, all of us. If we do that, we will meet the center challenge of the age by proving that democracy is durable and strong. Autocrats will not win the future. We will. America will. And the future belongs to America.
What's also important to note here are the companies, or rather corporations, that are said to be responsible for allegedly founding the states or estates of America, according to what the mysterious writers of American history claims. It was said that the Church of England and the congregational churches, meaning the Protestant churches, were the missionaries who propagated the gospel in foreign parts to them, because they are not primordial inhabitants of Turtle Island, known as America.
Look, the gift of the Society for Propagating the Gospel in Foreign Parts, 1704. You heard me mention this multiple times. It is also in my wife and I's book. It was told to us in reverse. The Untold Truth About the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Get my book. I break this part right here down even further in the book. I tell you exactly where I got it from also. These are the people that need to be held responsible for a lot of things that happen to our people here. They're all together. They're tight-knit. To go back to what my brother Steve Coakley said during my last live stream, they're all a web. Okay? They're doing their little Masonic order. That's what he meant by what I'm talking about, Brandon, what he said. I'm trying to remember what he said verbatim. He said, in another era when our democracy is tested, Roosevelt told them to do their part, to always do their part. That is a Masonic order. Do their part. Listen to me, y'all. I'm not going to spend too much time on this part right here. Just like on the original 1 cent coin, it says, mind your business. I talked about this as well. Which video was that? I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's an older video of mine. I'll bring it back up. I can't remember the name of it, but oh man, no, I don't know the name of it. I don't remember what I named it. But on that original 1 cent coin, it was engraved, mind your business. The people that are against the Catholics are the illuminated ones. The ones that they want to call Illuminati. They're the ones that still follow by a form of Christianity, but they're just against the Catholics. That's it. They don't like their way of teaching. And this is also why you didn't see no Catholic president. You didn't see a Catholic president until actually one time. And do I have that in this video? I think I do. You about to see it. Watch this.
I'm grateful for your generous invitation to state my views. While the so-called
right after that. Right after that. The only y'all. Woo, the only Catholic, y'all. You know they had to follow by the creed because he wasn't trying to follow by the Puritan way of life. He wanted to take out the church and state. Listen to how deep this get. This ain't no joke, y'all. No joke. None. Listen to what JFK say right here, y'all. Inhabitants of Turtle Island, known as America. Nah, hold on. Somebody said that. See, here's the thing about that. Now, I heard a lot of people say that Biden was Catholic, right? Somebody got to prove it. Somebody got to prove it. Somebody got to prove that to me.
I'm grateful for your generous invitation to state my views. While the so-called religious issue is necessarily and properly the chief topic here tonight, I want to emphasize from the outset that I believe that we have far more critical issues in the 1960 campaign. The spread of communist influence until it now festers only 90 miles from the coast of Florida. The humiliating treatment of our president and vice president by those who no longer respect our power. The hungry children I saw in West Virginia. The old people who cannot pay their doctor's bills. The families forced to give up their farms. An America with too many slums, with too few schools, and too late to the moon and outer space. These are the real issues which should decide this campaign. And they are not religious issues. For war and hunger and ignorance and despair, no religious barrier. But because I am a Catholic, and no Catholic has ever been elected president, the real issues in this campaign have been obscured. But because I am a Catholic, and no Catholic has ever been elected president, the real issues in this campaign have been obscured, perhaps deliberately, in some quarters less responsible than this. So it is apparently necessary for me to state once again, not what kind of church I believe in, for that should be important only to me, but what kind of America I believe in. I believe in an America where the separation of church and state is absolute, where no Catholic prelate, where the separation of church and state, but what kind of America I believe in. I believe in an America where the separation of church and state is absolute, where no Catholic prelate would tell the president, should he be Catholic, how to act, and no Protestant minister would tell his parishioners for whom to vote.
So now you know which religion.
Okay. Who was that according to? Who was that according to? I saw you brought that up. Who's stating that Brandon is Catholic? Because JFK came out and said it himself. Because to me, it looks like that's a cover-up. Pew Research Center survey. I'll look it up and I'll trace it and track it. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I doubt it very seriously. Unless he is in agreement with church and state. If he's in agreement to church and state, I'll believe it. I never heard him campaign the separation of church and state. But they came after JFK. We all know what happened. The JFK was very adamant about him and his religious belief. With me knowing, Brandon all over the media, and even before he allegedly became president, I have not heard him one time come out and say something like that. JFK lost his life because he went against the grain.
So now you know which religion was chosen to influence governmental policies in America, still to this very day. And both the church and the state are said to be good things because they somehow fill an imaginary gap that some people believe they need, as if they are not naturally born with it individually. Like, for example, life principles, or even making their own moral decisions without living in fear of actually accrediting themselves for setting personal goals and achieving them, instead of giving that credit towards a stranger. So realistically, you must be cognizant that an enemy may appear as if it is the light, when it's all an illusion, due to reality being based upon what you can see done in the dark.
Major.
You must be cognizant that an enemy may appear as if it is the light, when it's all an illusion, due to reality being based upon what you can see done in the dark. Like if you were to ever create your own country, for example, you are in fact guaranteed protection under your own right.
Here we go.
And the government also guarantees this protection as your right.
Okay, here we go.
In the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, where it says, quote, Congress shall make no law abridging the right of the people peaceably to assemble.
Okay. Yes, this is it right here, man. Yeah, man. This is it. So now I'm going to break down a law that's going to show you that we do have the right. We have the right to assemble. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And that doesn't mean just assemble and create our own Congress. That means to assemble and create everything we want. This is it right here.
Now, obviously,
people
with
remember, okay, notice how they said that was the First Amendment. Now, go back to what Barry said. Remember, Barry said that what did he say? That I'm trying to remember what he said verbatim. But he was saying that our ancestors were like, we campaigned, I want to use that word, for the First Amendment to be established. Now, what's very important is that this is the First Amendment. Now, I crossed out all the unimportant stuff because I want you to focus on that part right there, abridging the right of the people peaceably to assemble. Congress can't make no law against this, guys, and they haven't. It's just that our people don't know it.
Really associate the freedom to assemble, or rather known as freedom of assembly, as a constitutional right that guarantees the protection of an individual to assemble. For example, a protest against some government policy, or the protection against any government interference with an individual assembling their own place of worship, or maybe even to speak freely at their own public or private conference. And while that's all true, it does, however, extend to a greater measure and degree when it comes to fundamental human rights. We can all agree that the words of the English language carry double or more meanings. So when it comes to the words utilized throughout the U.S. Constitution, there is no exception.
Yep.
So where the First Amendment states peaceably to assemble, the word peaceably can be interpreted by the mind relating to being nonviolent. And that's true, but it also carries a legal meaning, which is having the right or freedom to associate. The tranquility enjoyed by a political society internally by the good order which reigns amongst its members, and externally by the good understanding it has with all other nations.
Screenshot it real quick. We're gonna keep it moving. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Now, that may ring a bell with some of you who are familiar with hearing the term freedom of association, which is normally used interchangeably with freedom of assembly, indicating that they are in fact one and the same. More about that in a moment. The First Amendment states that, quote, Congress shall make no law abridging the right of the people peaceably to assemble, which also indicates that the right of the people is such a basic human right that constitutionally, any government is forbidden from trespassing your choice of association.
Please note this powerful. This is, y'all, this is so powerful. This is basic human. This is basic. I can't stress that enough. Basic human rights. That constitutionally, any government is forbidden from trespassing your choice of association.
Or, in other words, you reserve the right to be associated with any corporation, society, organization, or government as you please. And any other said government cannot interfere.
They can't touch you. They can't touch you. This is also a part of that law. This is basic, y'all.
This very point is also echoed in the definition of constitutional liberty or freedom in the Black's Law Dictionary, stating, quote, such freedom as is enjoyed by citizens of a country or state under the protection of its constitution, the aggregate of those personal, civil, and political rights of the individual, which are guaranteed by the Constitution and secured against invasion by the government or any of its agencies.
Screenshot this. They know about it, you just don't. It's okay, you know it now. You know it now.
So with that being said, we can easily determine that a government is nothing more than an organization, and Congress is another way of saying assembly.
That's it.
Listen closely. The word Congress is defined as a large formal meeting of representatives from countries or societies at which ideas are discussed and information is exchanged. And then the word assembly is defined as, quote, the concourse or meeting together of a considerable number of persons at the same place, also the persons so gathered. Popular assemblies are those where the people meet to deliberate upon their rights. These are guaranteed by the Constitution, end quote. Now, I mentioned earlier that the term freedom of assembly is commonly used interchangeably with freedom of association. It is defined as, quote, the right to be with other people for a legal reason, cause, or purpose with no bias or interference. A government may be required to allow its citizens to join a particular organization. The bylaws of the organization may yet prohibit accepting some and excluding others. So, in conclusion, creating your own country or county or state is not only achievable, but it is also your fundamental human right. And that right is even protected and guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. So whenever you get tired of marching and protesting and reposting hashtags in hopes that things would change for the better, just note that when you get good and ready, you reserve the right to assemble your very own freedom.
Yes, sir. So, this is it. So now you know that we can use that and they legally can't touch you. You could create your own country, your own states, you could get your lands back. You could do whatever you want once you get your lands back. They can't do nothing to you. They cannot touch you, regardless if you're a citizen or not. Regardless if you are a citizen or not, that's the key thing. They can't touch you. What I'm going to be going over next, I know for a fact that I can't deep dive into the Puritan way of life, but I'm probably going to go, I'm going to watch this live stream again because I know I said note to self and I'm going to write those things down. Then I'll go live on those things that I mentioned earlier and break that stuff down. You guys can get in the comments and also mention some things that you would like me to better explain in full detail. I would love to do that. Also, I want to figure out a way where you guys could do call-ins and stuff like that and give your take on things or ask questions, whatever it is, on my I'm Just Here to Make You Think radio channel. So be on the lookout for that. If you have not subscribed to that channel, just go to the homepage of this channel and subscribe to all the other channels that I have. Yes, we're going to beat YouTube at their own game. I have Dane Calloway 2, Dane Calloway Shorts, Mr. and Mrs. Calloway, stuff coming up on that. Shout out to my wife. And I'm just here to make you think radio. Okay? So get in the comments. Do it now. Do it right now. Tell me exactly what it is. What is it that you saw that you would like for me to go over? But I am going to stick with this topic and go in detail with certain things that I did in, during the last live stream, this live stream that I mentioned earlier in this live stream, and that will be the next live stream. Okay, I appreciate that. It says 4,500 max. I appreciate that. Hopefully next time we could get 6,000 people in here, and we'll do this again. I appreciate you all becoming members, those that donated. Man, church and state a little bit more. Okay, I can go into it a little bit more. Do a podcast. I did do a podcast. I'm just here to make you think radio is the name of the channel. But once again, go to the home page and click on that. You're gonna see, I think there's an option that says channels, and you'll be able to see the other channels that I have associated with this one. But that will officially be the podcast where I'll have more people, other people, you guys will be able to come on and we'll be able to, speak live. Keep it professional. I don't want no little kids popping up. Keep it professional. Church and state, definitely. All right, getting land back. That's definitely on the list. That's definitely on the list as far as where you should put your land. I told you how you could get your land back. You got to do your research. You have to find out if land is owed to you and your family, because you can't just say that's my land, but you got to actually know exactly where it's located, how it went, where'd it go, and if the government confiscated it because they claimed that it was abandoned. Like, for example, the Bruce family out in LA County in California, they retrieved their entire what is it called, a beach resort. They got it back. It was a hard fight. Shout out to the Bruce family. I love y'all. And I'm so glad that I'm talking about an entire beach resort. You can look this up, and I actually already did a segment on it, but I'm sure people missed it. But I'm not saying that this could be for your sake, but you'll never know. What if your family did own a beach resort? But yeah, LA County grabbed it, saying it was abandoned for years, and the descendants came and said, this was never sold. Our family owned it. So it's now in their possession. It's just, I'm not gonna say it's just that simple. Of course they're gonna put up a fight because that's a lot of acres, but they got it back. Because once you got the deeds, what they gonna do? What, they gonna make up a lie? Yeah, the beachfront, the whole beach resort. They got it back. Got it, yeah, it was worth millions. Congratulations to the Bruce family. Congratulations. And they're not the only ones that got their lands back. But you have to do your own research to find out what's going on. If there's some family members that you know of that may have had some land and you don't know what happened to it, go investigate. Start pulling up those records to see exactly what happened. See if it was taken in taxes. See if it was just unclaimed. See if it was just unclaimed. I believe it was 75 million, Andrea. I believe it was worth 75 million, talking about the Bruce family's beach resort in LA County in California. I believe so. I believe that is the correct number. It's definitely worth millions of dollars. And when they go down there and tighten everything up and make it a beach again, we gonna all go support. Like, straight like that. Shout out to the Bruce family. Shout out to each and every one of you right now that's listening. Thank you for checking it out. I'm gonna write everything down. I got homework to do, and so do you. Okay, if you would like for me to go into building trust and stuff like that, if you're stuck somewhere in genealogy, anything, say it in the comments. Say it in the comments. I appreciate you all. But drop a bomb for all of y'all. Oh, and them Pan-Africans that's hating out there.
You talk more shit than a little bit.
Oh, to all the Pan-Africans out there.
You talk more shit than a little bit. Back to Mother Africa. That's bullshit. You do not know a goddamn thing about Africa.
All right. I love y'all. Why though?
I'm just here to make you think.